This is the Washington Times front page for Tuesday, September 5th, 2023. Thanks for joining us. I'm George Gerbo. Battles over government spending levels, aid to Ukraine, and border security will be at the forefront for Congress as the Senate returns to work aiming to avoid a partial government shutdown. Capitol Hill reporter Alex Miller reports lawmakers have less than 4 weeks before a September 30th deadline to agree on a stopgap continuing resolution, while work proceeds slowly on funding the government for the next fiscal year. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said in a letter to his fellow Democrats that the top priority for his chamber is avoiding a shutdown. House Freedom Caucus members have given Speaker Kevin McCarthy a slate of ultimatums to earn their support for the short-term measure. The more than 40-member caucus has rebuked the prospect of a clean bill, which would keep current spending levels, and reject any policy riders. Russian President Vladimir Putin said Russia will re-enter a key grain export deal only if the West lifts banking and other restrictions hurting its economy. Ben Wolfgang reports a UN-backed deal established last year allows for the export of grain and other food supplies from Ukrainian ports during the Russia-Ukraine war. Putin withdrew from the agreement in July after accusing the West of failing to live up to its end of the bargain, specifically a promise that Russian agricultural goods would be exempt from economic sanctions. Putin said he is open to reviving the pact, but accused Ukraine of using the grain export corridors along the Black Sea coast to conduct terrorist attacks against Russian forces. Putin also said Russian participation in the agreement hinges on removing Western roadblocks to exporting Russian food and fertilizer. The mudslinging between West Virginia Governor Jim Justice and Representative Alex Mooney is pitting the Republican establishment against the conservative wing in the party's bid to unseat Senator Joe Manchin, one of the chamber's most vulnerable Democrats. Ramsey Touchberry reports the governor's pitch is blunt. His big lead in the polls means only he, as the Republican nominee, can stop Manchin from cruising to re-election and likely keeping Democrats in control of the Senate. Mooney, a member of the House Freedom Caucus who has the support of the Club for Growth, sells himself as the more pure Republican candidate. Mooney wants Republicans in Washington to stay out of the primary race, as he refuses to step aside despite polls showing Justice better positioned to unseat Manchin. It's Vivek Ramaswamy's turn to face the arrows, and they're coming fast and furious after he stole the show at the first Republican presidential debate. National politics reporter Seth McLaughlin reports Ramaswamy's combination of Trumpian iconoclasm and a millennial style has intrigued voters, but has given the rest of the candidates plenty to criticize as they label him naive and perilous. Whether he has staying power remains to be seen, particularly with a Republican electorate that has a history of rushing to the next intriguing candidate and chewing up the newcomer before moving on. That was the case in 2012. Voters in Iowa, whose caucuses kick off the primary season, seemed to test every option, including Rick Santorum, Michelle Bachmann, and Herman Cain, other than eventual nominee Mitt Romney. And finally, former Thai Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra voluntarily ended 15 years of self-imposed exile this week. He was jailed for a long-standing 8-year sentence on financial corruption charges and moved to a hospital a day later after complaining of illness. Upon appeal, his sentence was reduced to just a year, with the possibility to apply for parole in 3 months. Find all today's front page stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page or on the Washington Times app, and find us wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Washington Times in your favorite podcast app. You can also find us on social media at Watch Times for breaking news, sports, commentary, and more. For the Washington Times, I'm George Gerbo.